The legal lab. Perhaps I will not go into that much discussion, although I hope to be able to close this presentation. Anyway, the legal lab has has a more loosely form. It is basically in this form of constant change. And let me just give you some subject matters, okay, so that you have the idea which are the areas I'm interested in. So we have discrimination, and this is a powerful concept and a very huge area of discussion and research. To cut a long story short, let me explain to you how I am going to prove that the attacks against the Church of Science, not the Church of Scientology, against Scientologists, are totally illegal. My idea is to take all that has been said about Scientologists and all that has been said about Jews and consider it totally illegal and punishable by law, and just change it. So where you have the text saying the Scientologist is blah blah blah, and you have the text saying the Jew is blah blah blah. In the first text, you change Scientologist into Jew. The Jew is blah blah blah. In the second, the Scientologist is blah blah blah. So basically, you are having done this. You read what has been said about Jews, where you don't read Jew but read Scientology, and compare it with what's been said about Scientology. If you see analogy, it is obvious that the statements we've made about Scientology are totally illegal and punishable by law. Another key concept is 5 invariables. So we have the invariability of the correspondence, the invariability of form, the invariability of the body. I add 2 concepts, the invariability of identity and the invariability of ownership. In other words, if I am heterosexual and someone creates an identity of a homosexual for me, it should be punishable by law, and it does not matter what media the person uses. As for ownership, if you steal something from me, for example, let us imagine that Alexandra Teacher, the former husband, who was to be my partner, no sexual connotations, in the establishment of our dream school, takes the program I created and says and puts it into some kind of activity, then this is theft, obviously. What connects with it is the question of surveillance. So this is what needs to be closely looked into. And another question, obviously, that comes together is the question of privacy. So this is another concept. And here we do need to cover it legally somehow. The question of the public person. It is totally illegal to make a private person a public person, because this is the change of identity, and this is punishable by law. Now, how do you put it into the framework of law? How does it function in the framework of law? This is illegality. So if this is illegal, then you need to have punishment. If punishment is that way. This is not to be dealt with in terms of gang mentality or in terms of lynch, because these are illegal. Then we have the area of labor law and the area of IT crimes, which goes beyond the crimes we have been discussing so far. Probably we need to add some scientific knowledge to it. So basically what happens to me when you create a game with me in it? Then we need to cover some special rights. So we need to introduce the concept of spiritual rights into the legal framework. And the religious sentiment belongs to that category. The same concerns because it is important, so this is important. I mean, you have to be consistent. So if you have a religious state, because you can have a secular state or a non-secular state, then this is different. But if you have the Western framework of reference, then it is utterly unacceptable that you may decide that the people are to stay in the classroom where there is a Holy Cross, but are not allowed to wear burqas there. This is discrimination. Then you have a very complex question of ecclesiastical law. So the question I am asking is, how do you create the reality, the legal reality that puts the state law in? Let me give you an example. When I was at St. Hill and they wanted to get rid of me, they started a process against me. And this was along the ecclesiastical norms. However, I was not there to defend myself. So no one told me, Agnieszka Royal, I am accusing you of this and that. What do you say to it? Which is illegal, of course. So basically, I can start a process against not only this particular case, but against the framework, the operational framework of the church. It is illegal to have illegal proceedings against the person without the person having a chance to defend herself. Universal Declaration of Human Rights have been compromised in the attack on me. So we need to create something different. And basically, I also believe that with the new powers coming into play, like Russia or China, we need to create a new document. And once we create it, we need to make it a law, because the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is what it would be great to have and how it should be. That should be part of the Constitution. I mean, it should be. We need to create something that somehow is real and can be put into Constitution. Nepotism is a huge subject. So obviously there are degrees, and the case of Maya Rostowska is a precedent case here, which is why we need to tackle it. So it starts with me writing a comment on the Radek Sikorski's Facebook profile, saying that employing Maja Rostowska was an act of nepotism. Radek Sikorski was the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Poland. Maja Rostowska was Jacek Rostowski's daughter. Jacek Rostowski was the Minister of Finance. So this is an obvious case of nepotism. Now, it is not a big deal, you may say, but what were the consequences? The consequences were international, global mobbing against Agnieszka Rolik. The consequences are Maja Rostowska is guilty, Agnieszka Rolik is innocent. Still, Agnieszka Rolik is being persecuted in Poland, and the persecution is created worldwide too. So this is why this case needs to get legal treatment. It can never happen again, and the people who are guilty need to be punished for it. This is creating the state of law. We need to get all the details, every single conversation Maja Rostowska had on the subject of Agnieszka Rolik. And every single conversation Radek Sikorski had on the subject of Agnieszka Rolik. Every single conversation Jacek Rostowski had on the subject of Agnieszka Rolik. I want to create a short book or long book of special terms. One of them is the black man did. Okay, so this is the new terminology, something that I have noted that I want to put into the legal reality. The black man did it. Sorry, not the black man, the nigger did it. The nigger did it. Has this element of content. This is total discrimination, and it consists in considering someone guilty, no matter the circumstances, just because the person belongs to the group discriminated against. And it does not really matter which culture you belong in, which group you belong in, because all it takes is changing the culture to become the nigger. So each of us is a nigger, even if elsewhere. Legal education. I want to introduce, apart from having, oh, did I mention when I was talking about the Supreme Education? Did I mention the handbooks? I don't think I mentioned the handbooks. Where are they? Yes, I did not mention the handbook. So, Supreme Education, once again, I want to create my own handbooks for Neapolitan school education and for special purposes, for example, work. So this is going to be my way. I should be, as far as the school education goes, they should be ready within 2 to 5 years if you stop bothering me with your presence. I mean, if you want to correct me, why don't you call me and ask me? Of course, you would have to pay for the coffee because I cannot afford it, thanks to your means. But or we can go for a walk, and you can say, I don't like this and that and that, and I want you to change this and that, and then I can listen to you, and then I will respect you because we are having a respectable meeting. But if you say you're constant, if you throw them into my private space, then of course all you get is this price and hatred. So, legal education. Of course, there will be a handbook for legal education. But what I wanted to do is I want to introduce legal auditing, first of all, at school. And I believe there was some misunderstanding when I said it for the first time. So people thought that I would introduce Scientology and audit pupils. No, legal auditing. We have financial auditing of companies. Then you have the concept of social auditing. And what I want to introduce is legal auditing, which means asking the question, is the school operating in agreement with the law? Well, as far as the schools I have been teaching in, that is the Volbron School and the Mishki School, no. And then I thought that actually the same should be done in the workplace. So that's it. And I want to develop a form for doing this legal auditing at school. Work where I don't have enough knowledge right now to handle the workplace, but I'm certain I can handle schools.